My husband hit me while holding my baby during an argument. My husband, 30M, hit me, 24F, while holding my baby, 4M, during an argument. Before bed at 4 a.m., our baby woke unexpectedly. I took over feeding as we bottle feed her. Just before I proceeded to feed her, my husband jokingly said that I would be the one handling the next feeding in the morning. Neither of us enjoys early morning feedings due to the limited sleep we get, and falling back asleep can be difficult. I value time with our baby, but frequent interruptions drain me. As a light sleeper, falling asleep takes time. Our baby's feeding routine lasts 40 minutes to an hour and a half. Late bedtimes result from our work. When my husband suggested I handle the morning feeding, I felt disappointed but didn't vocalize it. Later, I carefully asked if he could handle the next feeding instead, emphasizing my need for uninterrupted sleep. His response was nonchalant, stating I could decide. Sensing his reluctance, I insisted that I truly needed uninterrupted sleep and requested that he take care of the morning feeding. He responded with questioning my desire for 7 hours of uninterrupted sleep. Feeling offended, I explained that I hadn't had a full 7 hours of sleep in quite some time, unlike him, who has been getting 7 hours of uninterrupted sleep almost this entire week. My comment upset him. He argued that my pumping routine would disrupt any hope for uninterrupted sleep. He said that I'm doing this again, comparing efforts unfairly, and revisited past arguments where I had expressed feeling overwhelmed and unfairly burdened. Despite acknowledging his contributions and agreeing to work on my perspective, I felt misunderstood this time. My intention wasn't to belittle his efforts but to advocate for my need for rest. Juggling childcare responsibilities, household chores, and resuming work just a week after giving birth, I realized my exhaustion clouded my judgment, leading to the argument. While I primarily handled feeding the baby and household tasks, my husband was equally dedicated to childcare and managing our responsibilities. Recognizing my oversight, I committed to a more balanced perspective moving forward from the past argument. As our argument heated up, my husband's temper flared, something he's aware of. He felt I was unfairly comparing efforts and overlooking his contributions. He said, "You got what you want now. You will take care of all of the feedings, walking the dog, and cleaning the cat litter by yourself moving forward." Trying to calm him down, I approached him while changing our baby's diaper and held his hands, asking him to talk it out calmly. However, he forcefully pushed me onto the bed. I retreated to the changing table to bring our baby back to the bassinet, giving up on calming him down. In a subsequent moment of shock, he slapped my arm hard, the arm I was using to hold our baby. The physical aggression stunned me, as he had never hurt me physically before. Instinctively, I knew I needed to protect myself and our baby, so I immediately told him that we are sleeping in separate rooms and taking on all childcare responsibilities myself. He apologized via text the following day, acknowledging his actions and promising it wouldn't happen again. While I appreciated the apology, I struggled to accept it, especially in a text manner, considering the gravity of the event. I communicated my need for time and space to process the situation. Despite still loving him and not wanting to disrupt our family dynamic, I found it challenging to resume our relationship as if nothing had happened. A part of me tried to rationalize the incident, convincing myself that it was just a slap on the arm and not truly violent. I also somewhat started it. However, another part of me recognized the severity of the situation and the need for serious consideration moving forward. By the way, our past arguments are always like this format. I said something stupid that offended him and he got pissed and escalated and said words that belittle me, and then I got further pissed while continuing defending myself and cannot control my emotions to calm him down, and then he snaps. I recognize this is a vicious cycle, and I'm also disappointed that how can I always say things to piss him off so badly. He said that our fights are like me slapping him in the face first and he punches me back, not physically, it's a verbal analogy, and I should not have slapped him first. I'm not sure what to do next. I'm left hurt and confused. During our fight, he said that, "I told you our fights are going to get worse. We should just get a divorce. I don't know how our future fights are going to look like." Edit. Thank you all for taking the time to share your thoughts. It's been a challenge to process everything, especially since I've never seen him in this light before. Your comments, which I believe to be objective and truthful, are difficult to hear, but I know they're necessary. It's definitely a bitter pill to swallow. Realizing that our relationship is heading in this direction feels like a wrench in my stomach. We've been together for nearly 5 years, and I've never felt compelled to share our struggles publicly until now, as I have no one else to confide in. The introduction of violence into the situation, particularly with my baby involved, has heightened the seriousness of it all. Right now, my priority is my child, and I'm taking the time to let everything sink in. I'll be reading through your comments after getting some rest, as I didn't sleep at all last night. Now on to the next story. I, 23F, won a free car. My boyfriend, 25M, and his family seem to think I'll give it to him for free. So I, 23F, won a brand new compact car in a raffle I entered a few weeks ago at a trade show I was at for work. Which is awesome, but I already have an older car that I really like, and I just finished paying it off, so I can finally pay the cheaper liability-only insurance. My car still has a lot of life on it. It only has about 100k miles, and if I were to choose a brand new car it would not be the one that I want. I did some research, and after taxes and shipping I can make about 14 to 15k from selling the car. That money would be an incredible just start after graduating college. It would more than triple my savings. My boyfriend, 25M, of a little over a year has been without a car for a few months. He's been struggling a bit financially, so he hasn't gotten a new one yet, but he can walk to the grocery store, he gets a ride to work, and I drive anywhere else. It's worked out fine and I really don't mind. He helps out with gas and driving. For background, he lives with friends, I live with my dad for free, so I'm able to save up money. I definitely see a future with him, but we aren't at the point where we've talked about moving in together yet, but we are very serious. I went to a gathering at his parents' house last night. His whole family has been wonderful and welcoming to me, and everyone congratulated me on winning the car. But everyone, including my boyfriend, seemed to think the logical and obvious step was to either give it to my boyfriend, or give him my car and keep the new one. I don't plan to do either of these things. It would be different if we were married or living together and our money was mixed together, but it's not. We aren't at that point in the relationship yet. I don't want to give him what would essentially be $15,000 in cash. It doesn't make any sense. If I'd won the money instead, there wouldn't be any talk of just giving it all to him. That car and the resulting money should be mine. It's not my responsibility to provide him with a free car, whether it be my $5,000 car that I really like, or this brand new one. For the dinner at his family's house, I just stayed quiet because I was so shocked at their assumption and didn't want to rip it away from him in front of his entire extended family. How do I break this to him and his family that this car and the money from it is not in any way his? TLDR. I just found out I won a new car in a raffle I entered at a work function. I planned to sell the car to make about $14,000, but at my boyfriend's family gathering everyone seemed to assume I'd give him the car because he doesn't have one. Update. So the day after the family gathering where everyone assumed I'd just let my boyfriend use the car for free, I had to drive into the city where I won the car to sign a bunch of paperwork and pay some fees. We both had the day off, so I texted my boyfriend and asked if he'd like to come along so we could walk around the city and go out to eat afterwards. He agreed and I picked him up. We hadn't talked about the night before at all. He asked general questions about what it was I had to do today, and I explained that, and then I explained how the taxes on the car were going to be several $1,000s, but luckily I could cover them with my savings until I got the money for selling the car, and hopefully it would come out to around 14 to 15k, based on my brother's calculations. He was quiet for a minute and asked, "You don't want to keep it?" And I said no, that I was happy with the older bigger car I currently have. It better suits our needs and I can pay cheaper insurance on it because it's paid off. He said that he didn't realize the taxes would be so much. It was awkward in the car for a moment and I finally just asked, "Did your family think I'd give you the car to use?" He said his mom told everyone right before I got there that we, meaning BF and I, won the car and that he'd finally have something to drive. He said that he didn't think I'd do that, but he assumed I'd want to keep the new car simply because it was new, and that maybe I'd let him use my old car if he took over the insurance payments. But then he very quickly said that he did not realize the taxes would be more than a few $100s. I guess his train of thought makes sense given what he assumed about the cost. He agreed that it made the most sense to sell the new car. I asked if he was going to explain that to his mother, and he said that he would, and that she views the two of us like a married couple already, because she wants that so badly for him and has been heavily pressuring him to propose to me. That I did not know. Neither of us are at a point where we're even remotely ready for that. We're happy with where we are right now. He promised he'd talk to his mom and explain everything to his family and that he wouldn't let any of them think less of me. I was worried about that. So he waited patiently while I dealt with the company running the raffle. It ended up taking over 3 hours, and then we had a nice time strolling around the city and I treated us to a very nice dinner. TLDR. Talked to BF the next day. He thought maybe I'd let him use my old car, but it was his mom who told everyone that we won the car and that he'd be using it. He agreed the best choice was to sell it and we had a nice time out on the town, smiley face.